Hello everyone and welcome to the pitskill.io Porsche Cup sponsored by SimQuips. As we join the action just at the start of qualifying here at the Mount Panorama Circuit in Bathurst. We are on round 9 of 10 of the series and Reece Tattersall in an unbeatable position at the top of the standings, being on the absolute maximum points available of 700, bearing in mind we do have 3 drop rounds in this series. Looking to close up that gap is Johan Leff in P2, and behind Johan we have got a battle brewing still between Robert Weidbeck, Sam McCarthy and Matthew Parry, separated by very few points. And then another little battle between Samuel von Liebenstein and John Sawyer behind. So although this championship is all wrapped up at the front, still plenty to play for in the lower positions. And those will be the battles we try and keep an eye on around this mountain of pain here at Bathurst. And as we take a look at our timings, it is a very familiar story for tonight's race, as Reece Tattersall leading the times, and he is followed closely behind by Johan Leff, but trying to make his play for that third position in the championships is Matthew Parry. Currently sitting in P3, but as Busso makes the move up into P3 himself, I fear some of the deliveries may not have synced, but let's have a look and see, because there's one change I know I am expecting to see, as we have got Tom Young with, was that the blue bar that I was expecting from him, and Horvath. Now if we see some orange on this car, yes we do, although it is orange on changeable parts of the car from within ACC, so we won't shout out successes yet, as I think Reece Tattersall still running the Bruce Gang livery. We're not seeing the Heinz baked beans on Reece tonight. Though it may just be out of choice from Reece, I guess. As, well, we have had some quite fancy liveries on display through this championship, as we take our opportunity to have a look through those drivers in our order and see what everyone is running. As Andy Hudson with the promised livery, the GTA referenced Pisswasser livery, very much inspired by the American beers. And Hudson up into P4 at the moment, not going quite so strong on this lap, so we won't follow him around. But Samuel von Liebenstein in the Killaroo car, looking to find some more pace on this qualifying lap. He comes around the final corner, finding some pace up into P4, jumps ahead of Hudson. And up at the top, we have got something unfamiliar. It is not a Reece Tattersall on the top of the standings, although it is slightly familiar, being Johan Leff. And we have got Sam McCarthy up in P2 as the camera tries to find his car. So getting competitive at the top of the standings, well not the standings, sorry, of the timings for tonight's qualifying session. As we're beginning to see some of our championship contenders rising their way up the timings. There's Weidbeck's got himself up into P9. Seen a couple of yellow flags coming out for drivers, and I think they're just pushing a little too hard, as I'm seeing that telltale sign of a yellow flag followed by in the pits. So drivers just trying to extract that little bit extra from their laps. As we go on board with Andy Hudson to take us on a tour up the mountain, and you can see just how close to the walls these drivers have to get to put together a fast lap around this Mount Panorama Circuit. Well, I say close to the walls, I think Andy may have just tapped the wall there. Still being registered as valid at the moment. And getting a little loose on the... Oh. I pretend we didn't see that, Andy. As Reese Tattersall coming around the final corner is going to look to improve on his time. Is he going to be able to jump ahead of McCarthy? Not quite. I think Sam McCarthy just threw away a whole bunch of time on this lap. Was looking well up on his time. Right now, pulls into the pit lane, so not quite sure what happened there. But Sam McCarthy throwing away what was a 3-second negative delta on that time. Could have been in for a shout for pole position, but returns to the pit lane. Gets himself back out on track with 4 minutes remaining in the session. As we look to see who else is improving their times, as John Sawyer has peaked the mountain, is now on the fast descent. Darting between the walls, is putting together a strong sequence of turns. Has got, and that is Wilson ahead of him on the track. And this camera positioning for the best sound from these Porsche Cup cars. Absolutely shrieking their way down the back straight. As they come in the final corner, it's actually Joe Wilson, I think, who's setting the timings alight. P5, so 2:04.3. Solid time there from Wilson. But we will switch back over to Reese Tattersall with 1 corner to go. And going to be one of his last shots to try and take pole position away from left. Is it going to be enough? Not quite. Just 0.8 of a second shy. Sorry, 0.5 of a second. Don't know where my maths went. But Reese Tattersall going to have a couple more chances to find that 20th of a second. And at the same time, Sam McCarthy looking to shave some time off of his lap as well. All to play for in these final few minutes of qualifying. As Christian Fager coming down the mountain. As some of these camera angles here at the Mount Panorama Circuit are truly scary, as you have to be a millimetre perfect with the walls to extract the lap time. And you get yourself a little bit of a break as you come out of that final corner of the mountain section out onto the chase. As Balazs here goes through our camera shot, we're going to keep with Christian Fager, who's trying to improve upon a 2:05.370 and finding some more time in this final sector of the circuit. Into the final corner. One final quick application of the throttle, and Fager that improves in time but not in position, closes up that gap to Szynski ahead. And now we are on to what will be the final laps of this session. As Robert Weidbeck climbs the hill at the start of his lap. I'm more interested to see who is improving towards the end of their laps. And probably dishearteningly for everyone else, one man who does seem to be improving quite substantially on his previous best is Johan Leff as he comes to cross the line. Sets a 203.962. So only improving on his previous best by 3 thousandths of a second. And pulling to the side of the track, I suspect he's going to abort another run as Reese Tattersall is in the pits. Sam... Oh, and I don't know, I think that is Tom Young, who goes in just a little too hot to the first corner. And that will mean he does not get a chance at another flying lap. The next driver with a shot of improving on their previous best will be Chittle. Down towards the chase. It's this section of track where we're going to be treated to a cacophony of noise. The grid of 30 Porsche Cup cars coming through that. Chittle rounding the final corner needs to find 7/10 of a second to move up a grid position, so I don't think they're going to quite manage it on this time around. Will be followed around the final corner by Weidbeck, who's looking to try and move up from P7, moves up to P2. Solid final lap from Weidbeck as Wilson moves himself up to 5th position. As Sawyer rounds the final corner, has got a few drivers ahead of him that he could look to jump ahead. Moves up to P13 as Horvath, so actually Mikulak moving up to 22nd. Good job from Mikulak. And now just Horvath with the opportunity to improve and takes pole position. In the dying moments of qualifying, Imre Horvath with pole, a phenomenal drive in the end. And wow, that is going to set up an exciting race here tonight. Our championship, I would say leader, Victor Reese Tattersall, starting all the way down in P4. Bear with us a short while we go to a quick break while the drivers get themselves set up on the grid, and we'll be back the formation lap for tonight's race. Welcome back, everyone, and a surprise pole position for tonight's race with Imre Horvath on that front spot. Worth pointing out, actually, that Horvath had a very, very strong drive in the 3 hours of Bathurst, teamed up with Tom Young, and they were performing extremely well with their splash and dash strategy, with not changing the tyres. And yeah, they were in contention for the win in that race. So let's not rule out Horvath in this race, as they've shown to us that they have got some serious pace around the circuit, and taking pole position off of both Lef and Tattersall, and Weidbeck in P3. No mean feat. As Horvath leads our pack around this mountainous circuit, we have got just a few minutes to go through the order of the grid and show you those cars that you're going to be having to pick out from the camera angles. So on pole is Horvath. In P2 is the onion coloured car of Johan Lef. Behind is the black and red car of Weidbeck. In P3 is the Bruce liveried Reese Tattersall. Behind him is the grey and blue of Sam McCarthy. In P6 is the white, blue and orange of Joe Wilson, with Roland Stricker in the white and black car behind. In P8 is the cream liveried Samuel von Liebenstein. And then in the Pitwasser number 41 car is Andy Hudson. Tom Young, running a similar but tonight not the same livery as Horvath, is in P10. In P11 is the green and black car of Jorah Mormon. Behind him is the grey and black car of Matthew Parry, who ended up a little lower down the grid than we were expecting from the start of this session. In P12 is Busso. And in P14 is John Sawyer. And in P15 we have got Tadeusz Szynski in Rexy. And Christian Fager is P16 in the white car. In the SimQuips liveried car is Matthias Peltzer. Behind him is Balazs Feher in, I believe, the blue Rexy. It is indeed. Chris Wright will be starting alongside Balazs in P19 in his, I was about to say in his usual SimQuips livery car, but no, actually not, just in a blue car. In P20 is Simon Eklund. In P21 is Van Dijk, better known as Milky. In P22 is the purple livery car of Michalak. George Perks in P23 in the pink car. Wilkinson looking very similar to Schricker. P24. Garupa in P25. 26 is Dees. 27 in Nitro in a brand new liveried car, I believe. Chatil in the yellow. Zinsus in the mustard, and running his usual rubbish, even though I practice livery, is Harold Katremeier. And as we go to the front for Horvath to lead us away, and the lights turn green, and it's a good start from Horvath, but Left looking up his outside, and looks like actually Left got in the position around the outside late on the brakes, and there's a little bit of chaos behind as they seem to be trying to go about 16 wide back there. But we're going to keep our eyes on the front as Reese Tattersall making up positions at the start, already up to P3, pulls alongside Horvath. As we head up into the mountain, no way through for Tattersall at the moment, but is hot on the heels of Horvath as we ascend mountainous section of this circuit, with Robert Vibeck dropping back to P4. They're followed closely behind by Sam McCarthy, with Samuel von Liebenstein moving up into 6th position ahead of Joe Wilson. And so Johan left, getting to stretch his legs out front a little bit. Has opened up a bit of a gap back to Horvath, with Rhys Tattersall sitting in closely behind, as they're all in formation descending the mountain. Not really much of an opportunity to overtake here unless someone makes a massive mistake. They'll all be trying to get themselves set up for the long run down towards the chase. Oh, as I think that was Andy Hudson making a hell of a collision with the wall. And we'll see if we can pick up some damage on the front of Hudson's car. Yes, we can. As we come over the crest. And I'll just stay quiet so you can appreciate that noise. As it looks like Balhaj here getting a little bit of a snap on through the final sector, as we all come down towards the final corner, and we've got a car turned round. That is Jorah Mormon. We're trying to find a spot to get going again. In all honesty, I think he had enough space for him to turn around there without getting in anyone's way, but doing the safe thing. As side by side, oh, actually, we're past side by side now as Rhys Tattersall gets to the inside of turn 2. And strong move there from Tattersall, gets himself up into P2 in this race. And has already opened up a gap back to Horvath. 1.5 seconds is the gap up to left in the lead of this race. And Horvath looking like not quite having the pace in the race that he was showing in qualifying. As we descend the mountain once again. Horvath leading this train of Vibeck, McCarthy, von Liebenstein, Wilson and Schricker. As we come down towards the chase, Vibeck getting closer still to Horvath. Having a look, but a bit too far back to try anything, but letting Horvath know he's there, getting himself big in the mirrors. And Sam McCarthy also having a look there on Vibeck. I think it looks like Horvath being the cork in the proverbial bottle at the moment. As we come down towards the first corner again, a few little groups of cars emerging. As you can see, Horvath with Vibeck and McCarthy behind, and von Liebenstein with Wilson and Schricker for company. And behind them we have got Horvath's teammates of Young, with Russo, Hudson and Parry behind, as they all stay in formation as they climb the mountain. Samuel von Liebenstein with Wilson in close company behind. Well, it looks like von Liebenstein just missing the apex there. Thankfully, this section of the track, one where you can make some minor mistakes and still keep the attacking car behind you, but you have to keep it sensible. Can't be making too many big mistakes with these walls in close proximity. As at the front of the field, Johan Leff has got Rees Tattersall bearing down on him. That gap now at just over a second. As he comes through the chase. You can just see Rees Tattersall getting into camera shot there. And that will be a sight of discomfort there for Johan Leff. Was hoping to have a little bit more of a buffer, I imagine. As the battle for P6 continues behind our lead battle. We come round to ascend the mountain the fourth time. And see another battle emerging behind Young as Hudson seems trying to find. Actually, Busso looking around the outside of Tom Young. The break for the second corner. Is Busso going to be able to throw it around the outside? And Hudson looking like he wants to try and follow Busso through. As Matthew Parry having a collision with the wall there has allowed Andy Hudson to stay ahead. As he's battling side by side with Christian Fager. Fager dropping away. Perhaps just wanting to get himself out from alongside the wayward Young. Oh, sorry. Not Young, Fager. Parry. So they come over skyline again. We descend the mountain. Andy Hudson looking closer to Young now, but it's Busso leading this pack. And you can see quite the train behind him as we descend towards the chase. Cars snaking their way down towards the chase and into the chicane. Those gaps close up in the braking zone. You can see just how close they are behind. And down into the fifth lap of this race. Chris Wright has just made his way past Tadeusz Suzuki. It may have been a mistake there for Suzuki as they come through the chicane. Allowed Chris Wright to get himself alongside and past before they even made it to the corner. And Chris Wright now up into P12 after, I think, some chaos. We're going to go back and... Okay, so we saw this overtake here, and what was happening in front of them? Because I think some chaos has just happened. Oh, Matthew Parry into the back of Andy Hudson. As Hudson's around. And, well, and that's why we just seen Chris Wright make up a number of positions and up ahead of Matthew Parry, who's going slow down the straight. So unfortunate there for Hudson, who has taken a short trip into the wall. These helicam shots, absolutely fantastic at this Bathurst circuit. The cars snake their way through the twisting mountainous section and emerge onto this long back straight. Well, battle for the lead has now closed down to half a second. Rees Tattersall closing in on Johan Leff. As Reese continues to close in for the lead of this race. See this fantastic, almost driver's eyes view of the run up the mountain. And you can just see how blind some of these corners are with the walls closed in around the circuit. Just throw the car in and trust that the track will still be where it was the last time you came around it. Come over the top of Skyline, where the rear of the car does like to get loose under braking, especially these Porsche Cup cars, with all that weight over the rear end. As Tassel closes right in towards the back of Johan Leff. Pressure is on, and with 18 minutes remaining in this race, I think it's going to be quite a defensive drive for Leff for the rest of this race. Ooh, and that is a broken looking car for Maya van Dijk. What has happened here? Oh! The camera changed away there as we were sliding into the wall, but I can only imagine that is some considerably broken suspension on that car. As our leaders ascend the mountain again. The gap staying rather static. Reese Tattersall to Johan Leff, remaining about half a second. Joe Wilson continues to chase Samuel von Liebenstein for P7 in this race, P6 in this race, I should say. You see how close these battles get. But really, if you want to make a move in this mountain section, you're waiting on a small mistake from the car ahead. There's Parry and Wright are side by side going up the mountain. With Parry on the ragged edge of traction, keeping it ahead of Wright, but oof, slamming it into the wall. That won't be doing his pit rep much good at all. There's our two leaders. Again, come down onto the back straight. Reese Tattersall, closer than he has been. Still not close enough to go for a move as they come down through the chase. And into the final chicane. It's going to be at least another lap, I'd imagine, before Reese Tattersall is able to have a go. Unless he can get the better run out of the first corner. As Tom Young has caught back up to Busso, is now right under that rear wing and looking for a way back past after that overtake earlier on in the race. There's a car ahead of them, I believe that is Roland Schricker, look like he's out on the dust. There's Young looking to get that run. Busso already moving over to the left of the track, trying to break the toe. And I think Tom Young is well established in that slipstream. Moves to the outside. Is he going to try and throw it around the outside? Oh, Tom Young running well wide there and into the barrier, I think. Not ideal, bit late on the brakes, trying to be a bit aggressive with the move, and has to slot back in behind. And lost a considerable amount of ground there to Busso. As our battle continues for the race lead. Johan left, you can see how on edge he is as the car moves around underneath him. Rhys Tattersall opening up that corner before the run down towards the chase. Still not really close enough, 0.3 seconds back. But there is a back marker coming into view for this pair. So it could have something to say. Could have some input into the proceedings. So they come round again. Still the gap at 0.3 of a second, but nothing going for Rhys Tattersall. We're seeing a real battle emerging here with 13 minutes to go in this race. No two drivers who are close together. John Sawyer and George Perks. Oh, well, John Sawyer hopping over the curb and having a brief brush with the wall. Doesn't seem to have lost him too much in terms of pace or damage there, so impressive for John Sawyer. He hit it with just the right angle to get him back on the track. Samuel von Liebenstein is on the back of Sam McCarthy. We try and wrangle these camera angles to behave for us, as they don't really want to seem to play ball at this Bathurst circuit. And this battle between von Liebenstein and McCarthy has allowed Joe Wilson to close up the gap as well. Could this be the run that Rhys Tattersall has been waiting for? Emerges onto the back straight. As close as he's been, I still don't think it's close enough. He's well in the slipstream. As they get towards the chase. Going through single file, and Rhys Tattersall has to stay behind. Has to wait for a mistake for left, it seems. They come around to finish their 9th lap of the race. Same story for Samuel von Liebenstein and Sam McCarthy as they round the final corner. As you see Liebenstein hopping over the curb, and McCarthy, not thinking he got the best of exits from the final corner, goes defensive to the inside. Now if Liebenstein is smart about this one, should have a good run and able to stick to the back of McCarthy. McCarthy staying ahead for now as von Liebenstein stays in behind on the racing line as they climb back onto the foothills of the mountain. As up at the front, Rhys Tattersall, this is the closest these two have been together. And well, when you get running this close together in the mountain, it's it pays to be careful. But Rhys Tattersall needs to try and make a move soon. Oh, as he just gets a little too eager on the throttle coming out of that final corner onto the back straight. Oh, well, what has happened here to Tom Young? He heads over skyline. Is the car going to snap loose? It's already, we're seeing the back go around. Oh, the car's spinning around, and well, Christian Fager, not much you could do to avoid that one. As well, Tom Young back in the pits now. And I think that was fairly predictable. Quite a shunt into the wall and then getting T-boned by Fager. As von Liebenstein still trying to find a way to catch onto the back of and pass Sam McCarthy. It is Joe Wilson who's now the closer contender, looking to make a move on von Liebenstein for P6. And really close run races here all throughout the pack. As John Sawyer side by side with George Perks as they come through to the second corner. And Perks is through before they reach the corner. But Sawyer's through, but Perks holding on. Is he going to try and run around the outside? I think it would be optimistic to try and run around the outside into the long hairpin, and John Sawyer up into P15. As we get the opportunity to look through some of the other battles we have further down the order. We've got Simon Eklund, who is on the back of what I can only imagine is a somewhat damaged Andy Hudson, currently running down in P17. The new Pisswasser livery obviously not giving him the best of luck. Should have gone with a mock Australian brand beer. Oh, as von Liebenstein going very wide at the chicane, and that has gifted a position to Joe Wilson and to Roland Schricker. Let's just see what happened for von Liebenstein, taking the slightly compromised line into the chicane. Perhaps not used to that braking point on the middle of the track, and just overshoots the corner, off onto the grass. And that is down to P8 for von Liebenstein. As Balazs Fahit has got Matthias Peltzer and John Sawyer for company. John Sawyer charging forward now after getting past George Perks. Find himself on the back of this battle. As the blue Rexy. We have two dinosaurs on this circuit tonight. And the blue one of them is, actually not the furthest forward. Josiah Szynski in the green Rexy, just a couple of positions ahead. We can see him just ascending the mountain there ahead of Chris Wright. And he's finding himself under pressure from Matthias Peltzer and John Sawyer. Ooh, John Sawyer with a hefty smack into the wall. That looked quite spectacular, but can't imagine that's done his car much good at all. Oh, okay, already out of sorts. Trying to get the car back under control. If I had the inputs of his car up, I suspect he was just trying to stay a little too long on the throttle there. And John Sawyer coming away with that one with quite hefty damage. As Rhys Tattersall and Johan Laff continue to battle over the lead in this race. Coming through the first corner. And Tattersall all over the back of Laff, but Laff doing all he needs, just staying to his lines, driving at his own pace. And there's not much Tattersall has been able to do yet in this race. As you can see, perhaps the pressure looking like it's getting to Laff a little bit. His car not quite as in control as we've seen from Tattersall, but so far it's been enough just to keep Bruce Carr behind him. Both of them running exceedingly close to the walls. Braking over the skyline. Generous use of the curbs. two very different lines taken through this corner before the back straight. Neither of them seeming to get a real advantage from it though. Rhys Tattersall opting to turn the car more before he brakes, get it right over to the right side of the road, but it's not giving him the advantage he's been looking for on the exit. And again, as we come through the chicane, the gap remaining fairly static for Rhys Tattersall, and with just 3 minutes remaining on this race, the 2 laps left, and Tattersall going to have to get creative if he wants to try and find a way through, because all he's been trying so far does not seem to be working. As Matthias Peltzer continues to chase after Balazs Feher, John Sawyer now found himself under pressure from George Perks again after taking that heavy hit into the wall. Does look like that damage to the front of his car is affecting the aerodynamic performance for John Sawyer. Perhaps just a little bit more drag. As we climb the mountain again, Rhys Tattersall as close as he's ever been, but through this section of the track it doesn't really matter unless he can force Johan Leff into some sort of mistake. He can get as close as he likes, but there's not going to be a way through. As we've seen yellow flags for Joe Wilson. What has happened? Oh, and it's a back marker spinning around. That is Harold Katchelmeyer, and wow, I think that must have been quite a surprise for Joe Wilson to see a car sideways on the track. And apologies, I think we just missed the overtake for the lead while we were watching that. As Rhys Tattersall has made his way past Johan Leff. Where did this happen? As we come towards Skyline. Oh, as Johan Leff having to take to the grass. Oh, bouncing onto one, avoiding 2 walls. And that is Rhys Tattersall through and into the lead. And if the pace we were seeing earlier in this race is to be believed, it does look like Rhys Tattersall should be able to drive away from Johan Leff. Did look like he had a little bit of pace in hand. But still, the two of them glued together as they come to start the final lap of this race. As Busso in P7 has got Joe Wilson and Roland Schricker for company. Oh, and well, I think Joe Wilson doing the honourable thing there and allowing Busso to hold the position, but Busso losing out to Roland Schricker from being unsettled by Joe Wilson. So well, let's see whether he wants to hand that one over to the stewards to have a look at. As Matthias Peltzer and John Sawyer have been battling. That damage to the front of Sawyer's car not doing as much damage to his lap time as I would have thought it would have been. Would have thought that would have been making that car awfully draggy down the straights, but he's managing to keep with this battle between Feher and Peltzer. As now Roland Schricker leads this train up the mountain with Busso and Wilson closely behind. And these three absolutely glued together as they descend the mountain into the hairpin for the final time as they emerge out onto the long back straight. Roland Schricker with the slight slide, but seem to be able to hold it together. We change our attention to the front of the field as Rhys Tattersall comes to cross the line for what will be his 8th win of the season. Rhys Tattersall, our series champion, takes the win, followed very closely behind by Johan Leff. In P3 is Imre Horvath, followed by Sam McCarthy taking P4. In P5 is Robert Weidbeck, with Samuel von Liebenstein taking P6. And then an almost photo finish between Roland Schricker, Busso, and with Joe Wilson missing the first corner. We then have Christian Fager in P10, Szynski in P11, Chris Wright in P12, Balazs Fahir and Matthias Peltzer cross the line together in P13 and 14. John Sawyer is P15. P16 we've got George Perks. There's Simon Eklund in P17. Andy Hudson in his damaged car in P18. Skarupa in P19. Jerome Mormont in the considerably damaged car there in P20. Marek Schüttel in P21. Nitro in P22. Wilkinson 23. With a grid that is exceptionally close together actually after tonight's race. We've got the final driver to finish the lead lap of this race. Actually, sorry, not on the lead lap of this race. I think just a unfortunately slow 14th lap of this race with a considerably damaged car will be Donatas Kaczynskis. But congratulations yet again to our race and championship winner Rhys Tattersall, putting on yet another fantastic display. And thank you very much for watching tonight, everyone. I have been your host, Roy Weller, and this has been the pitskill.io Porsche Cup, sponsored by SimQuips. If you want to take part in the racing, please do head on over to pitskill.io, or better yet, use the referral link in my description below. We've got one more round left of this championship, and then in a couple of weeks after that, we will be getting started with season 19 of the pitskill.io platform. If you've enjoyed this racing or this stream, please do like and subscribe. It does help us get found. And next week, the pitskill.io Porsche Cup will be heading to Suzuka, which unfortunately I will not be streaming as I will actually be in Japan. So hopefully there will be information on the Discord about if that is going to be streamed. I know Terry was saying he might be able to get to it, but don't take my word on that. Can't give you any promises on that one. But we will be back next season with another full season of broadcast. So jump yourself onto that Discord server so you can get all of the news on the next season of Pitskill. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. But do stick around, as we'll be sticking on the highlights of tonight's race very, very shortly. Good night.